Blog, the Alliance Blog. Alliance? If you put an S in front of Alliance, you have Alliance. That's
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance Blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby.
Are you ready?
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance. God bless the internet.
Okay, let's party.
It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys live stream podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, the premier source, sometimes of news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. I am joined by my pal, my friend, my confidant, Devin K. Mercer. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Do I know you?
You might remember me from such buddy flicks as Jay and DK do Dallas. Yeah! We had a good time in Dallas.
We did.
What was your favorite thing? What was your favorite thing we did in Dallas?
Well, let's see. Certainly wasn't good at the NWA. No, just small joke, people. Probably Stockyards.
That was your favorite?
Sure. You'll show it twice.
It was. I had a good time in Dallas. That was the first time I had I'd actually been in the city of Dallas. I'd been to Texas before, but never in Dallas or Fort Worth or any of the surrounding areas. And the barbecue was good. We went to a few stops that were good. Forney was all right.
Forney was what it was.
Yeah, the AT&T, the Globe Life Stadium for the Dallas or for the Texas Rangers was a beautiful ballpark, and as much as I don't like that baseball team, that was a beautiful stadium. I can't say enough nice things about that.
Well, this season there are a lot of people around here that agree with you. They don't like that ball team.
Well, as an Angels fan, man, I'm watching my team like at the bottom of the rung here, and just saw Shohei Ohtani hit a grand slam to become the first, the fastest 40 home runs, 40 stolen bases in the season. It's like, oh God, it hurts so bad. But yeah, that's why there's wrestling, because I don't have to talk about baseball when it's wrestling. We are hours away. At least I am hours away. DK is not going to be in Philadelphia. If you were hoping to see DK in Philly, it's not going to happen, gentlemen, ladies, children of all ages.
Nobody bribed me enough.
Nobody was willing to buy your ticket for you. Luthez, the Phillies are in town this weekend. In fact, I have tickets for Sunday night. Me and my girls are going to go. They're playing the Braves. Got some tickets pretty cheap for Sunday night, and we're flying back on Monday because Monday's a holiday, and we're gonna just hang out and check out Philadelphia. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna head out there. We're gonna run to the wrestling show. We're gonna hang out with you guys. I say we. My kids aren't going to the show. My wife isn't going to the show. They don't fancy the pro wrestling the same way that I do. But, yeah, we're going to have a good time.
What is wrong with them?
when I first started dating Michelle, my wife, mi esposa, mi hermosa, she told me, "Oh yeah, I used to watch wrestling when I was in high school," and she was telling me how she was would watch Edge and Christian and TLC matches, the Hardy Boys and the Dudleys, and I thought she was a wrestling fan. So I started going to wrestling shows, and she's like, "Hey, I want to come too." And I said, "Great. Yeah, that's cool. We can go together. It'll be our thing." So I dragged that poor girl to Oceanside, California, to Yuma, Arizona, San Bernardino, California, Glendale, California, Hollywood, California, Anaheim, all these cities, all these places to watch wrestling. And as she was in her final month of the pregnancy with our first daughter, Claire, she's like, I really don't want to go to any more wrestling shows. And I said, "Oh, okay, yeah, because you're pregnant." And she goes, "No, I just don't want to go to any more." Oh, I thought you were enjoying all this. "No, actually, I hate it. I just wanted to go hang out with you." So that's our fun little story there.
Yes. See what happens when you get together, have kids, get married, all that stuff. All the things that they used to want to do with you are now suddenly like, no, that was actually horrible.
There's a laundry list of things that she used to love to do that she doesn't love to do anymore. But we won't talk about that. I want to stay married.
Why?
Hey,
says the single guy. So
I've got some nice benefits and taxes and all that good stuff. But yeah, so we're going out to Philly. I hope to see you guys out there. I just packed my suitcase filled with the Alliance Wrestling Summit T-shirts. Those will be distributed to those of you who just want one. All you gotta do is ask for it. If I have your size, it's yours. Luther says it feels dirty seeing me without a hat.
Great, Lou. Thanks a lot.
God forbid Lou feels dirty. Or as they like to say in Mexico, sucio. So I want to say what's up to everyone in the chat. Of course, Luthez is here. He says, "Hey, wait, this is how horror movies start. But it's also how porno movies start. So see you maniacs in Philly." Hopefully, hey, if you are having that kind of a weekend, don't go to the wrestling show. Just enjoy your time. Jeremy says, "Good evening, Alliance fam. Don't forget that like, comment, share, subscribe. After the stream, leave a comment. It all helps the algorithm." Which it does.
Al Gore doesn't have any rhythm.
Don't ruin my joke. I used to love watching him and Bill Clinton dance during the when they won the election. Noob is here. What's up, Noob? Sam Retro's in the house. Doty brings up an interesting point, and we'll talk about this, I think, later in the show. But hey, Jay, I suspect today's podcast is discussing whether EC3 is a better booker than William Patrick Corgan, considering how satisfied last week's Exodus YouTube show was. I'm sure we'll touch on that. DK, what do you think? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we'll talk about it. You want to talk about it now, or do you want to talk about it later?
Let's just go through some more of these comments, and then we'll get to that. We'll get to that specifically. Of course, we are going to talk about. We are previewing the anniversary show that is happening Saturday night. You can buy a ticket for the seat, but you'll only need the edge. Yeah. We'll be talking about the anniversary show. We'll be talking a little bit about EC3's 367 reign as World's Heavyweight Champion. Overmetal's talking about donkey shows. Doty's talking about the Mexican sunsets that it's wrestling. I've never gone to Mexico for the sunsets or the donkey shows. Actually, that's not true. I did go for the sunsets. That didn't sound good when it came out. I went to Cabo for Christmas a couple years ago, and it was a beautiful sunset. Our hotel was facing the ocean, so like when that sun was setting, it was chef's kiss. Rosville says, "I didn't know."
Why do people say chef kiss when they do a chef kiss?
I don't know. That's a very interesting question. I'm just trying to be cool. I'm trying to have that Riz.
Oh.
You know what the most fun thing to do as a Gen X parent is to use the Gen Alpha slang to your kids. And before that, I used to use it to the Gen Z, my oldest daughter, use their slang or their mannerisms, and they don't like it at all.
Well, I always used to be of the ilk that said the only time you use teenage slang is when you're mocking them.
So my oldest daughter, who just turned 20 last weekend, or I guess it was like 2 weeks ago, she used to hate it when I would dab, because like that was the cringe thing. So I would do that
when anybody dabs.
I would do it all the time, or I would floss, do the
Yeah.
I would do that to just annoy the shit out of her, and it worked fantastically. And now my youngest, the hot rod Piper, if we start using that Gen Alpha slang, she loses it. So and Michelle jumps in on it with me. So we'll be like, well, tell me about that skibbity toilet, Piper. And she, oh no, oh God. And we're like, does it have the?
I have no idea what that means.
I don't either. That's the funny thing. I could be saying the most horrendous stuff ever. I don't know.
Could be.
I mean, I probably am. But yeah. So that's a thing that's been happening.
Well, what's funny is I remember when my kids used to send me K on a text for okay. And so I was like, really? Okay's too much to do? You got to just send K? And they're like, yeah. So it's like, sure. So I started doing that to them. Well, apparently somewhere along the way, just sending K meant you were irritated, and you were supposed to send KK for okay. Don't ask me why. And so my son was telling me that, and it's just like, yeah, I'm just going back to okay.
Keep it simple, stupid. That's what I say. Anyways, so yeah, let's talk some wrestling. Let's talk about this Exodus Pro live event. In the old days, we'd call that a pay-per-view, but nobody paid for it. It was free on YouTube. The signature live event is reserved for, the premium TV tapings for the CW. So what do you call this territory event that was given out for free on YouTube? What would you classify it?
In world class, they called them Star Wars. Really, they were in the old territory days. They were just like big events, that they would occasionally hold in something, normally without any rhyme or reason. They would, they put on a big card. They might hold it in a stadium or a sports venue, major sports venue. But yeah, that was just one of their big cards there. Of course, Florida went 3 years with doing Battle of the Belts, which Tony Khan has now killed. Thank you, Tony. And was it an anniversary show?
Yeah, it was the Exodus Pro 2nd year anniversary. They just started not too long ago, obviously.
Well, apparently 2 years.
Yeah. Or it's their, it was their first anniversary show, their second year in the business, first year being in business. And, I still haven't been able to see the entire event. It's been a busy week for myself. I don't know if you saw the interview I did with Tank Tolan
I did. I really see that interview.
I enjoyed the heck out of that guy. I don't know what the future he has with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, but I hope Dr. Lawrence Iconium continues to use him, because I think he's a great positive dude, and I feel like he can bring something a little bit more to those dog events. But so I've been kind of busy all week and go. Plus, we're getting ready to leave. We're literally flying tomorrow morning, leaving early, be touching down in Philly sometime in the afternoon. So I'm not fully caught up on the event, but I did see the women's 4-way match that they kept billing as an elimination match and it ended after the one pinfall. And then I did see the world title match. In fact, I spent a lot of time watching that world title match. Let's talk about it. What did you think that they got right? What do you think they got wrong, DK?
Okay. I did not love it to the same extent that some of the people in Discord and here seem to have. And I think some people loved it more because it wasn't a Billy Corgan event.
Yeah.
And so they really want to go, oh, you know, this better. To me, it was a independent wrestling show. It had good points. It had bad points. It had stuff that I really liked and stuff that I pretty much hated. And ugly, ugly, ugly belts. So let's go with that. There seemed to be a lot of guys with man buns and long beards.
Seems to be a cool look, I guess, these days.
Yeah, there was like Man Bun Jesus, but he seemed to have like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 brothers. I wasn't really sure what was going on.
Would those be disciples?
Maybe. I don't know. Some were on his side. Some seemed to be on the other side. I wasn't always sure who the heel or faces were supposed to be on some of these, and they didn't do a wonderful job either of making it clear. So, you know. But overall, I thought it was it was an indie show, and it was a not bad indie show. I don't know that I would jump straight to it was a great indie show, but it was a not bad indie show. I liked I did like the women's match, even though it was multi-person, and we know how I feel about multi-people person matches. I was a little happier when I thought it was elimination, a little bit pissed off when it wasn't. But the match itself was okay. Kind of knew who was going to win. There was one thing that was bothering me, and that was that what's her name? The winner, Tiffany.
La Princesa Tiffany Nieves.
Is that the guy kept interfering like in front of the referee, and the referee was just like, "Stop that."
Oops, sorry about that. Yeah,
it's like, throw him out, dude.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I some wrestling promotions are different than others. I have heard, and who knows if I'm being worked or not, but I've heard from other wrestling promotions. I've heard from other referees that if something is so blatant and they keep doing it, like the referee will have to disqualify them because it's a matter of the integrity, and they can't allow the integrity of the business to be tarnished by somebody's goofy ass inability to cheat within the confines of the reality of that they're perpetuating. It's one thing if the referee turns around and you cheat and no one sees it, the referee doesn't see it, but if you're doing it right in front of them, that means whoever is doing the gimmick is hurting the product. And at that point, like, the referee has a discretion to end the match or disqualify the opponent or kick the person out. And I did not like that as well. I that was something that was bothering me. Because again, it's like when you neuter that authority, like, then what's the point of even having a referee out there? Like, what's the point?
Well, and that's very common in wrestling in general.
Yeah.
Now.
And it's a pet peeve. I hate it.
Yeah. They don't count when the people are out. They don't know what to do. I mean, the refs are often just lost because the wrestlers are doing whatever the blank they want. And so I keep hearing Dennis Carluzzo in my mind. When he was cussing out the locker room.
Yeah, I remember that.
And, he was telling them that if they went over the time that they were given, he would go out there personally and ring the bell, and kick them out of the ring. Right. If the ref's not going to enforce any rule, I mean, I think even at Crockett Cup, Like one time they threw out Ricky Morton or something like that, and then he never left.
Yeah.
You know, something else happened when he was throwing him out, and then he just stayed. Like, okay, well, that's great, I guess. I don't know. And so I did have a problem with that. A lot of the early matches, you know, they were what they were. People I didn't know, and the matches were okay. I thought I did like Pretty Boy Smooth. I think he looks good. And I think
that man has a forehead for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, I think he looks good. I think his work was okay, you know, nothing to write home about, but you know, it was okay. I hated the Caesar scramble match. I don't know if you saw that one or not.
No.
So yeah, it was basically 8 guys wrestling each other, and it was just, you know, and I never understood what the rule was or what they were trying to do. And I guess I did not realize at the time that Caesar was supposed to be like a title that they have. So anyway, the champion wrestled 8 different guys and somehow got a pinfall and retained his crown. They used a crown. And so that was good. They had one match that I hated more than all the others.
Let's hear it.
Brandon Beretta defeated Tone McFly in a singles match. And Tone McFly was out there like Urkel. I think that's what he was. Just some nerd in shorts and suspenders and a bow tie and glasses. And he wrestled with the suspenders and the bow tie and the fucking glasses. And it was like, if anything on this planet screams, we are 100% effing fake, that would be it.
They weren't like goggles. They were glasses.
They
and
were
stayed on.
nerd glasses. Oh my effing G. I mean,
what was that kid's name again?
Tone McFly. And the only reason I know it is because I'm looking at the results right now. Because I want to call out Tone McFly and EC3 and anybody associated with that gimmick and say, burn in hell. Golly. I can't believe I had to watch that.
Well, unfortunately, look, I'm going to say this. I don't feel that EC3 is a hands-off kind of guy.
No, trust me, this is 100% him. I mean, he is just in charge at Exodus Pro as Billy is at the NWA. And so for all you people out there going, oh, it was so much better than NWA show. No, not really. And that part was worse.
That's amazing.
And so, you know, and of course, the announcers not knowing the Fatal 4-Way wasn't a Fatal 4-Way. And somebody goes, well, maybe it was because of time and they had to call it. I go, that doesn't make me feel any better.
Yeah. Look.
I go, that means they can't manage their time.
I'm going to say this. I think that's such a snafu that it's not the end of the world, but I think that's a pretty big mistake. You should be able to know what's going to happen. Your staff, your talent should know what the stipulation for a match is before the match starts. So when it doesn't come out the right way, I just feel so you should know better. You know, you should know better.
When did Jaden show up?
He just snuck in. Jaden, you haven't seen Exodus Pro's Journey 2 event, have you?
Yes, I did watch it.
Oh.
Yes, and to go real quick, DK, sometimes the wrestlers make the decision and it's, you know, the bookers decide to do it one way, but the wrestlers decide they're not doing it that way. I've been on an event where it's supposed to be an elimination match, and Instead, they decided to end it after one fall because they didn't want to do it that way. And I'm not saying that's what happened, but I've seen promotions that does happen where they're like, no, that doesn't make sense. We're going to do it our way. And then they do exactly what the opposite of what the promoter wants them to do.
Well, I beat the shit out of the referee if that happened.
I mean, I wouldn't be very happy about that.
It's one thing with the wrestlers. You want your money because I'm not going to pay you till after the show now. Do shit like that. But yeah, I mean, I'd have very serious conversations with my referees and tell them, I've said it before, I believe referees should be shooters. And if you're out of the ring, you get a double count out when that wasn't the result. I'm not going to be mad at the referee, but I'm sure as hell going to be mad at the talent. And so, but that's one thing. Whatever happened there, whether it was a last minute call, whether it was time mismanagement, or whether no one told the announcers what the rules were, I don't know. But you can't come up with an excuse for a guy wrestling with fucking glasses on.
DK is hot. He said the F word twice, and he doesn't normally drop F-bombs, so he's hot about this.
You don't like the nerdy dude with the glasses, DK?
Not while he was wrestling. If you missed my rant, I advise you go back and watch it.
All right, not that I don't already know the answer because he's giving me the rant like earlier when he was talking about it, when we were talking about it. But
overall, what was your take on the event, Jaden? I haven't seen it yet. I've admitted to it. I haven't watched the event in its entirety yet. But what did you think?
It wasn't an event; it was a show. Just
that's bloody brilliant. We could just end the show right now. We're done.
I liked the first match. There was the middle. I didn't think the ending was as bad as you guys did. I just don't think they had a EC3 sold very well, but his offense was like in slow motion.
I didn't really have a problem with the title match. Somebody on the chat said it was a typical EC3 match. It was like,
you know what? It was. It was like. Can we just talk about that match for just a minute?
Yeah.
All right. You know that I have been a very vocal proponent for EC3, and maybe it's because after the reign of Tyrus, I just needed a palate cleanse, and there's nothing that I feel like EC3 does that's offensive to me. Like, I haven't been offended by anything that EC3 has done in a ring. He's a perfectly viable champion. He does what he's supposed to do. He can have a good match with just about anybody. But I feel like in some of these matches that the performance gets mailed in. When I saw him with Sam Adonis and DK, you were there, that match had almost no energy to it. It was like the fans were chanting, but there was nothing in the ring that excited me. There was nothing like I never felt for 1 second that there was any chance that EC3 was going to lose that title. When I saw, conversely, the following month when I saw EC3 versus Honest John, that match at least felt like I didn't think that Honest John was going to win the title, but the match felt like it wasn't just mailed in, and I blamed Adonis for it at the time. But then watching this match with Richard Holiday, I kind of felt like, this isn't I don't feel like there's a sense of urgency here. I don't feel like, and watching that match, the longer the match continued, the less I felt like EC3 was going to lose the title. I just didn't feel like, I wasn't concerned. And I think that's the scariest part of promoting a wrestling event is having the fans just not become invested in the match. They did a great job of building up that storyline. It's something that for at least the Exodus Pro fans who've been going to the T-Lon Center or whatever it's called in Cleveland, Ohio, they've been going to these events. You should have been that should have been a really good payoff for those fans. For some of us who just turned on the YouTube channel for that night, it should have been a good match. I felt like it was just adequate. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad match. But this could have been something that could have been very great. And I'm not even saying like the finish had to be Richard Holiday, but I just felt like they didn't try to be great. They just tried to be good enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it does. And the thing is, like I said, EC3 bumped well when he was on defense. On offense, he stayed in first gear. There was no sense of urgency. There was no sense of second, third gear, like he needed to put extra into this because he was losing and he needed to win.
And it seemed like the end was a little more convoluted than I would have liked.
Oh, yeah, there was that too. But a lot of people think they need to overbook a finish just so it's, creative and whatever. But
well, I think they're trying to make it so that neither one of them looked bad when they lost, but it kind of just, I don't know. I found the end to be anticlimactic. And
that's a great word, anticlimactic. That's exactly how I felt.
And I guess in a way the entire thing was anticlimactic for me because it was kind of like there was a hope that this was going to be really, really, hot and good and everything like that. And it just seems like in the end it was, like I said, it was an indie wrestling show. It was an average indie wrestling show. I could have seen most of the stuff I saw there if I, drive down to Cleveland and watch a show there. And that's not a compliment. And so Doty asked something like, so EC3 stinks both in the ring and on booking? And no, I wouldn't go that far, but I would say that he could do more to get the crowd into it. I don't feel like he does a lot to get the crowd into it. And then I don't feel like his booking overall was just to die for or great. And that how I feel about the glasses thing. So it's just no, I mean there was nothing spectacular. There was nothing that just made me go, oh man, EC3 needs to take over booking the NWA main card. Might as well let Billy do it if it's going to be like that.
it was better than Billy, but that's faint praise. Honestly, it's
that's a low bar. That's
what it was.
Better than Billy.
He was safe for a lot of the stuff, and then the stuff he wasn't safe on, he was just kind of goofy. Especially annoying me because we talked about the whole control your narrative, no super kicks, no this, no that, and there was a lot of that stuff that was what that pseudo promotion that he was trying to initially push was talking about. What they wouldn't do, they were doing on this card, and it was a C-level it was a C+ level show. And if it wasn't for the fact how well they built up the main event and that first match and the surprise of Al Snow, it probably would have been a C, maybe a C-.
I would say this, like I didn't think that the world title match was bad. I felt like it could have been better. You know what I mean? I think Jeremy said it, or I don't know who said it, but or maybe it was you, Jaden. Somebody said he never got out of first gear, and that's what it kind of felt like. And I don't know, man. I know EC3. He's not an old guy. He's not a young guy. He's just a guy. I feel like maybe he's saving those bumps for the pay-per-views or premium live events. I don't know. Again,
we're not getting them on there either. That's the sad thing.
Yeah, well, and so he looks like $1 million, and his promos, they can be hit or miss with me. I've seen some promos where I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good, and some of them are like, what the fuck are you talking about? What is this, the Ultimate Warrior? But I feel like, look, I know that my hopes for this event were way out there, right? Like I was dreaming for controversy. I was dreaming for chaos. Well, yeah, right. I was anticipating something bigger and something that would connect Exodus Pro to Power, Exodus Pro to the 76, something that would have really been earth-shattering. But I think that's, in retrospect, that's probably way too much pressure to put on Exodus Pro. It's just a wrestling promotion. It's just one of the territories. It's not the territory. It's not the main roster. It is a territory show. It's a Cleveland wrestling company. You know, and Skibbity, for what it's worth, you know, if we start having unrealistic expectations, of course they're not going to be materialized. Of course they're not going to be reached. Richard Holiday did not have to win that match for me to consider it good. The match didn't have to connect to the greater universe for it to be good. But the match, I feel like, was just good enough. It was just okay.
The problem is you wanted Mandalorian season 1 and 2, and you got
Book of Boba Fett.
No, even Boba Fett. I was going to say, what was the most the one that just came out? What was it called?
Acolyte?
The Acolyte. Yeah,
I liked The Acolyte. Well, I've only seen 3 episodes. I'm probably part of the problem.
It's not that good.
It's
not that good.
It has all the potential in the world, and they don't deliver.
Exactly.
And that's the problem. Everybody wants season 1 and season 2 of The Mandalorian. Instead, you got season 3.
You know, put Jon Favreau in the Booker's office then. Iron Man was a good movie.
Hey, I want to ask Jaden a question here.
Yes, Iron Man was a good movie. Iron Man 2 and 3 weren't. Go ahead.
What was your thoughts on the tag team title match?
I did not like that match. I did not buy the winners. The losers had a better look. It was just I didn't feel like that match connected. I don't feel like the fans liked it, I guess, but I did. It felt like for wrestlers, singles wrestlers, wrestling a tag team match instead of a tag team match to start, and then I just didn't. I could not get into. I could not buy the winners of the match because they didn't look like they could have won against the 2 guys they were against. They didn't look like they should have been in the ring. They look like guys that, like, when you get to those shows where either the wrestlers are so old and they can't do it anymore, but they're all still hanging on, or they're guys who never were, but they act like they all come to one thing. And then there's the one promoter who was never booked anywhere, got pushed anywhere, never got anything right, so he decided to start his own thing and push himself as champion. That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, it was, basically, I knew it was going to be trouble when I first saw them next to each other. And I said then, I go, the small guys are going to win this, aren't they? And I go, and it's going to be hard to believe. And I probably wouldn't have had too much issue with it if I had sat there and go, wow, those big guys, they suck. You know, they're terrible. But I actually thought they were good. I thought their look was good. I thought they were overall showed some skill. Not saying they were the Road Warriors or anything, but they showed some skill. They showed some talent, and it was just like certainly as much as the other team, the team that finally won. And I was just kind of like going, no, again, this is one of those things that it's very hard to do that suspension of disbelief in this match. And so I guess Major League, Rex Brody and J-Rock were the team that won. And they defeated TME, Gannon Jones Jr., and Duke Davis. And let me tell you, Duke Davis, I was probably most impressed by, but I thought Jones was fine, and the others just seemed to be any 2 indie wrestlers that are on any indie show anywhere.
And the thing is, it's not just that they were smaller; they just didn't look impressive in any way. There was nothing about them that made me think they were anything more than a couple of guys who go to a comic book store and buy replica belts and go wrestle their friends.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
So with that being said, to go back to the original question, was this show and you guys, you both saw it, so you please weigh in on it. Was it a better book show than what you've seen from the NWA?
First of all, that's faint praise. And every once in a while, like a room full of monkeys, Billy Corgan can do Shakespeare.
Sure.
But most of the time, he does poetry and scripts written by a room full of drunken, high, stoned, deaf, blind monkeys with missing one paw. So, yeah, based on that, yes, it's better.
Okay.
Based on what the best I've seen them do, no, it's not. What I think it could be done, no. What I think is, I think the idea was fine. I think the execution was poor, because if this was the thing that they needed to do to really get the NWA, people talking about the NWA, I think that in a positive way, I think they have not accomplished that. I think if they knew they were going to do this as a way to accomplish and put something positive at the NWA and create buzz that the NWA Exodus Pro is the premier wrestling territory and the first wrestling territory and the best of the best, they did not accomplish that at all. At least it wasn't Daredevil Dave Dahl.
That's true. I mean, to answer your question, Jay, I would say in the past, the NWA's had several better booked pay-per-views.
Okay.
I know this wasn't a pay-per-view, technically. But so I would say the NWA's had several better booked pay-per-views over time. I would say it was better booked than most of their TV tapings. And so, you know, we'll split the hairs like that.
Okay. I mean, look, that's fair. Like I said, I haven't watched all of it. Dodie says, so who's the stinkier between Billy and EC3, and who's better between EC3 and Joe Kazana?
Joe Kazana's better. EC3 is better than Billy. But again, faint praise. But Joe Kazana, I enjoy Joe Kazana. I actually saw the Dr. Zirconium put his foot in his mouth because he was commenting on a post that Joe Kazana made, thinking it was the NWA making it. And AJ Kazana stood up for his father and stuff like that. And Dr. Zirconium and I both messaged him and said, look, we have nothing against Joe Kazana Promotions. In fact, we known it was Joe Kazana. We should have looked before we opened our mouth, or I guess Dr. Zirconium should look before he opens his mouth, which I tell him that all the time. But he's not like me who could just say anything and get away with it. But that said, you know, I personally, and I know Dr. Z enjoys Joe Kazana Promotions, and I'm starting to catch up on some of the newer promotions. I wish Joe Kazana was booking the NWA right now. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better.
Go ahead.
I would say that Joe Kazana is a well-booked independent promotion. You know, and I certainly enjoy watching his 30, 45-minute shows more than I have Power or that Paradise 2.
Yeah. Joe Kazana for NWA Booker.
I mean, look, if it was an election, I think there's enough of us in the audience that would vote for him. So, I mean, I guess that takes us to the next part of tonight's show where, you know, I think it should be acknowledged. I think it should be spoken about that Mr. EC3 has been World's Heavyweight Champion now for 367 days. Now, I don't think that, you know, as I sat there and talked about his title matches, and I'm kind of looking back at what we've witnessed in Power, what I've seen live, I've never in the entire year, in the calendar year of him defending that 10 pounds of gold, have I thought to myself, this title is in peril, with the exception of course, what led to Journey 2. But again, you know, the match results kind of followed suit with what EC3 had been doing in the ring. But like, you know, you look at where he's been and who he's faced. And I mean, you know, he wins the title at the 75th anniversary show. He ends Tyrus's career. And to Tyrus's credit, we have not seen him as an ambassador for the NWA. We haven't seen him, show up and do, meet and greets. Tyrus has been gone, and he has stayed gone. And I think that, number one, that's pretty impressive when it comes to wrestling. A lot of these guys have a hard time of letting go, but we haven't seen Tyrus anywhere near a wrestling ring since he retired. So kudos to him for honoring that word. Better for the fans for not happy to see him. But when you look at the list of some of the people that our World's Heavyweight Champion has faced off against, I'm going to just start listing some names. DK, Jaden, you tell me when you think that our World's Heavyweight Champion was in peril. So, he wrestled, the very first title defense was against Jay Bradley, and that was in Nashville following the pay-per-view. Lord Crew, Delson Alexander, Crowbar, Pat Buck, Tom Latimer, Talos, Jack Stain, Fodder, Manny Lemons, Matt Cardona, Charlie, The Boar, John McChesney, Luke Curtis, Drake Frost, Silas Mason, Ron Mathis, Steve Fender, Drew Marshall, Mims and Mario Pardua, Sam Adonis, Ryuki Honda, PB Smooth, Honest John, Keegan Bredel, Channing Decker, Bill Collier, Tristan Archer, Elias and Red Scorpion, Drago, RT3, Blake Gibson, Tank, Paradise, Atticus Cougar, Nick Nolan, Tony Evans, Cal Hero, Richard Holiday. Yeah, that's the only one that even remotely kind of felt like he could have lost that title.
Maybe in the All Japan match if they would have shot, but you never know.
Out of all those people, which ones do you feel like should have been presented with him being more in danger of losing his title?
All of them with a good, proper build up and story and maybe some kind of promos and everything else. Every one of them should have been that way.
Well, some of them, though, are... I'll take the All Japan one. You knew he was going to All Japan to defend the title. You knew he was going to come out. I don't know that I ever would have thought the title was in danger. Ric Flair, his title was only in danger about once when he came to Texas once a year. The rest of the time in the rest of the title matches, you knew he wasn't going to lose. Or at least you knew he wasn't going to lose the title, more accurately. And so, I was listening to things like Tom Latimer, Thrillbilly. Those are probably the ones that I'm going, why weren't we as fans? Why was nothing done to make us think, this could happen?
But they don't know how to do it. That's why.
I agree.
I think the biggest difference, and let's put the cards on the table, right? Exodus Pro with Richard Holiday had a fundamental difference than what NWA Power has with any of those other opponents, and that's they built up that match. It wasn't Richard Holiday wasn't just given a number one contenders match and then wrestled EC3. He didn't win a battle royal to get a shot at EC3. He showed up, and I believe his first appearance.
He didn't drop a belt in the middle of the ring.
Yeah. His first appearance there, I think he was on the same side of the ring as EC3. I think that was one of his partners, if not his first appearance, one of the first two or three. And there was an interesting, compelling storyline that brought him to that world title match. Every other title match that NWA has presented, We haven't even had number one contenders matches. We haven't had a battle royal to crown a number one contender. We've had nothing. It's just, oh, we're going to be in Dallas. Here's Sam Adonis. We're going to be in Sarasota, Florida. Well, here's Jack Stane. For just no other reason that I used to be a champion, or I have a name, I have a credible value. Bring me in. Silas Mason forfeited the television or the national title to challenge EC3. Back at Samhain, Tom Latimer vacated the television title and used his Lucky 7 option to challenge for the world title. And outside of those, we don't really have a compelling storyline. Matt Cardona was given a title match with the stipulation that it would be a ultimate match of death, right? With no absolute zero build. I don't think those two had ever faced each other in an NWA ring prior to that match. There had been no build up for that match.
Well, and that's an issue because the two had wrestled other places.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You could build that match up and make it meaningful. You could cut some promo. Like, they didn't even air a promo for Sam Adonis ahead of the
Crockett Cup.
Yeah, the Crockett Cup. Thank you. And likewise, what promo did Tom Latimer cut on TV this week to build us up to the 76th anniversary show? Now, I get it too that because of the current taping schedule, it's a little bit weird because this is a live event that's happening, but the audience, the greater NWA audience, won't see it for at least 4 to 5 weeks, at least. So, like, maybe there will be build to the match through the return to the territories. But at that point, like, as somebody who's paying, right? I'm paying money to go to Philadelphia to watch this show. The responsibility, there should be some sort of responsibility from the NWA to me as the consumer that's paying to be there to have some connectivity, some storyline that makes sense. Jaden, do you agree? Do you disagree? Is it just all about TV?
No, I 1,000,000,000% agree. It is partially because of the TV schedule, but they at least should have some local promos playing around here. I don't even know anything locally they did to promote this event other than I think Brian Idol and Markova showed up at a wrestling store called Suplex. Is there anything else they did to promote this event? I heard Smashing Pumpkins were pretty close to Philadelphia, and they didn't even use that to promote the event. So there's no even local buildup. I don't know how. I have not seen a poster. I have not, and nobody else I know. I actually talked to somebody who's a big wrestling fan who goes to the arena who didn't even know this event was happening this Saturday.
That's. I think that is a very disappointing situation. As my wife would say, that's whack, bro. Wild. Sorry, that's wild, bro.
That's wild, bro. I mean, all right. Let me just say, if I was building this up, right, there's something called the 3-week rule. Between week 3 and week 2 before an event is the most important promoting time there is. That's when about 70% of the people who are really deciding to go to this event decide within 2 to 3 weeks of the event.
You want to come on camera?
So there was no promotion at all during that time, especially for the World Heavyweight Championship match. Like, even if they built it up, I don't know if I have any interest in Latimer versus EC3, but they did nothing to build it up. They haven't even built up Latimer. A little bit I know from you guys listening to you guys tell about the power, how they even built just because you put a belt on Latimer doesn't mean he's built up. You have to build him up, give him wins, give him storylines, give him promos, give him direction, give him interviews, give him something to build up the match that we want to see. That they've done zero for that, and if they've done it for one of the other shows that are coming up that they're going to play on TV, that's going to be the first time I think they've done that to begin with. I don't think they've done that at all.
Can I just list off a few things real quick?
Yes.
Okay, so Tom Latimer became the national champion back in March from part of the Hard Times TV taping. So that was back in the Dothan, Alabama Civic Center, right? He had one title defense against Kerry Morton, which ended in a 10-minute time limit draw. His next match was against Jake Sterling, where he beat Jake Sterling. Who's Jake Sterling? I don't know. Look him up on Wikipedia, I guess. He beat Silas Mason by disqualification, also in Tampa. He beat Zion in the OC Theater in Forney, Texas. And that's it. That's it. So he had 4 title defenses, and 2 he won. Actually, he only had one successful. Let me rephrase that. He only had one title defense where he won the match, because the match against Jake Sterling was a non-title match. So he went the time limit draw with Kerry Morton, and he beat Silas Mason by disqualification. So the only person he cleanly beat in his 4-month reign as national champion was Zion.
Do we still have to suffer through?
And what have they done to build him up? Absolutely nothing. And this is why wins and losses matter. This is why good promos matter. This is why, like, this is not just Tom Latimer. This is the entirety of the National Wrestling Alliance. When you have, there's guys on the roster who you're trying to build up. There's guys on the roster who you're trying to use them to build others up. And as much as I love Jack Stane, right now, where he could be used best is to build up a guy like Tom Latimer. Tell me I'm wrong, and I'll apologize. Like they're trying to build up Jake Dumas. They're trying to build up Carson Drake. They're trying to build up Mims. Okay, cool.
Are they, though?
Well, I mean, I feel like they are. They're giving Carson Drake TV time, they're having him be like a chef or whatever, but, you know, he's getting camera time. I mean, you know, like there are guys on the roster who just exist really to do the job. You know, Sal the Pal, you know, Gags the Gimp. In some ways, you know, the Spectaculars, both, you know, not Slade, because Slade hasn't been around long enough, but you know, Rush Freeman was that guy that you just kind of used him to build up somebody else. They need to kind of figure out who and what they want to do with these talents and start putting them in that way to build them up. Where, you know, if you're building up Mims, putting Mims over Jake Dumas really doesn't build up Mims. Putting Mims over Zion doesn't really build up Mims. Putting Mims over somebody like Jack Stane or Baron Von Storm, you know, or someone who at one point had held a title in the company, that's going to add more to his credibility. And with that being said, these guys need to stay relevant by getting some wins from some of the guys on the roster that are insignificant. And we saw that 2 weeks ago with Jack Stane and Katena, whatever that guy's name was. You know, Jack's got a good win over him. That's great. That guy should be putting everybody over for a while and helping the roster get bigger and better and differentiate between who the stars are and who the mid-card guys are and who the jobs are. Jobbers need to exist. They, especially in this environment, I think it's almost it's a necessity, because 50-50 booking doesn't work.
Yeah, the NWA booking doesn't work either.
That's true.
I could have so much fun with that same roster. I'll use Silas Mason as an example. Imagine if Silas Mason won the national title from EC3 at the event before EC3 won the NWA World Heavyweight title.
Yeah,
and then imagine promos. Silas Mason going out there, the guy who got over by talking and doesn't really get a chance to do that anymore. Imagine him cutting a promo about how he beat the guy who beat the World Heavyweight Champion, and then give him wins and impressive wins against impressive talent, and then give him a big gatekeeper win against, say, a Jack Stane that gets him a #1 contendership match. Then after you build Jack Stane up for a while too,
Yeah.
And then have them promo EC3. Have Silas Mason talk about how he beat EC3 the last time, and he's going to beat him again for the World Heavyweight title. And have EC3 says, "You beat me on this night, but I am the World Heavyweight Champion, and nobody's taking this belt away from me. You're going to have to kill me to get this belt away from me. I will not quit. I will not surrender. You're going to have to just absolutely knock me out to take this championship. There is no way, if I have any life or ounce in my body, of energy in my body, am I going to do anything but walk away the World Heavyweight Champion."
Can I break some late breaking news?
Sure.
You're pregnant.
Yeah, and you're the father. I just went on Twitter for a half second, and EC3 has just tweeted 33 minutes ago that following Exodus Pro's journey to, rumor has it that Most Marketable will be appearing at NWA 76 this Saturday in Philadelphia.
Good.
Who?
That would be Richard Holiday.
Richard Holiday. Well, it'd be nice if they do a story. Maybe. Hey,
that's the closest they've come to building up anything. That's the closest they've come to build up anything for this darn event.
I have a question for you, though. There's thoughts that, Max is going to win the women's title because, the Page sisters will go after the tag team. And, maybe it's finally time for EC3 to drop his title. They won their titles a year ago at 76. Would it be wise for them not to drop their title? I mean, at 75, would it be wise for them not to drop their titles at the 76?
Jaden, you answer first.
All belief that I've listened to, reading the Discord and other things, in the minimal talk that the NWA actually gets that's not part of this podcast, seems like that they just build up the 76 as the place that the titles are going to change, and then same thing. It's going to be, I can't even say it's their WrestleMania, but it's kind of like where, all right, nobody thinks that the champions are going to lose their belts because they're going to lose it at the 76. Then anybody who wins it at the 76 is not going to lose it to the 77th. Then anybody who wins on the 77th is not going to win to the 78th. And unfortunately, it's too damn predictable. Sometimes it's fine to do what everybody's expecting to, but this just feels like it's, nothing else mattered until this, and this doesn't even really matter.
Okay, now I want to go back to the idea of building people up.
Wait. You didn't let me say.
Let's say, let's get into it.
I think predictability is the killer of fun when it comes to pro wrestling. So if one champion loses, I don't think both world champions should lose. You have a lot of titles on the line. We know that the tag titles are the men's tag titles are going to be on the line. The women's tag titles are going to be on the line. We know that the world heavyweight titles and the women's world title will be on the line. We know that the national title is not going to be defended. We know the junior heavyweight title is not going to be defended. And it looks like the TV title will not be defended either. So I think if Max wins titles, if Max wins the women's championship, I don't think EC3 should lose. And if Kenzie retains, then I think Tom should win. But it's one of these things where it's like you can't let it be too predictable. Both those titles changed hands a year ago at the 75th. So I think if you do it the same way again, and those titles, specifically those two titles, the most meaningful titles on the roster, change hands yet again at an anniversary show as they did the year before, like I just feel like it's becoming too predictable and not as exciting, if that makes sense.
That said, though, if say EC3 or Kenzie lost somewhere in the middle and then the title changed hands, that would be one thing.
Yeah. I agree 100%, because again, to me, and anyone in the chat, you guys can tell me this too. If it's predictable, it automatically becomes less fun. Throw me a curveball.
I will disagree with you on that.
Okay.
Everybody knew Cody Rhodes was going to win the World Heavyweight title. Everybody knew, and it was fun.
But there was but there was a great buildup for that moment.
Yeah.
And it was a year after everyone thought he was going to win it, the WrestleMania the year before, and he lost. And that's where I think, like, people thought he was going to win at that WrestleMania, and had he won, I don't think it would have been as exciting as him winning it the year following, because, again, there wasn't predictability. But if you're building up the storyline, if it makes sense storyline wise, because that's how it's being built. Like if Tom Latimer has been chasing EC3 for the last 365 days, I mean, we saw that Sal win. If every promo Tom was talking about EC3, if Tom was coming out there to make sure that EC3 wasn't getting double teamed or somebody was cheating to beat him because he wanted to be the one to beat him, like that would be a different deal, right? Like it would be a different storyline. It would be a different something for us to sink our teeth into. They've basically kept these two guys separated for almost a calendar year, because at the pay-per-view, the last time they fought each other was at Samhain. So like putting them on opposite sides of the spectrum and then allowing them to see each other again a year later, I don't feel like is a very compelling storyline. And if it's predictable, then it's boring. But if they had been building up to this moment, and they've been building up to the 76 for the last 2 or 3 months, then we would all be like very excited about the potential of the title change. And if it changed, you know, if they were leaning towards that with the way that they were booking it, I don't think anyone would have a problem with it. I think it's context, right? Without context, then I want unpredictability. But with context, predictability is fine as long as the story matches it. Does that make sense?
See, I only care about if it makes sense and the story builds it up to it.
Okay.
It can be predictable, it can be unpredictable, as long as either way it makes sense and there's a story that builds up to it. So yeah, and I'm sorry, DK, I'm cutting you off real quick. I'll try to talk quick, but I also don't care at all if Max wins, because what really has Max done to deserve to be World Heavyweight or Women's Champion? What actually have Max done? And DK, you talked to me about build up. What did they do to build this up, DK?
Nothing.
To build up Max, just because Max holds 2 TV titles and got shit with them.
I mean, nothing. They haven't done anything with her recently. She's been part of a tag team.
The most disappointing. Not the most. There's been a lot of disappointing things. I feel like whatever they were trying to accomplish with Max having both belts went out the window before Crockett Cup, and nothing has mattered since. Max isn't defending the titles. The titles have lost. As far as I'm concerned, whoever becomes the next TV champion for either division has their work cut out for them, because it's a belt that absolutely means nothing to me at this point.
You know, look, here's something that, hey, you know why the NWA has such a hard time getting people over? You know, because who do they have to get people over? Let's look at the television title. You know, you win 7 and you can challenge for the world championship if you want to. All right. Okay, first champion was Ricky Starks. Where is he? AEW. Second champion was Sicky Dice. Where is he? Somewhere else. Next champion was the Pope. Beautiful run as champion. What'd they do with him? Nothing. Next champion was Tyrus. Put the title on him for a year to defend the title, you know, once every 2 months. And to defend the title once every 2 months and just stand there. And then, you know, he gives it up for to challenge for the world title after he'd already challenged for the world title.
Yeah.
So then it was vacant. Who was their next champion? Jordan Clearwater. Where's he at? I don't know. Their next champion, Tom Latimer. He gets his 7, vacates the title, and loses his world champion, and loses his match as world champion. So who's the next person they put the title on? Mims. Mims hadn't been built up before. Mims won 2 matches, I think, as TV champion, and then he lost it to Max the Impaler. Who Max the Impaler has defended against, I think, Mims and Jake Dumas.
That's it.
Jake Dumbass.
Jake Dumbass.
A waste of television time. A waste of breathing.
So I'll say this.
That's just the TV title. Go look at the national championship. Willie Mack gone. Colt Cabana gone. James Storm gone. Aaron Stevens retired. Trevor Murdoch in a tag team currently. Why isn't he helping put people over? Chris Adonis gone. Anthony Mayweather gone. Retired. Me too. Jack Stang, one person. Scion, another person who's gone and was barely built up there. EC3 gave up the title. Silas Mason gave up the title. Now it's back on Tom Latimer. Is Tom giving up the title? I asked the question to the NWA. They never responded. So who are their former champions that they can be using to build up people? Right now they have a national champion in Jack Stang and Tom Latimer, and that's it. Silas Mason. But we want Silas to win. So
no, I mean, you're not wrong. Where's the lie? You know, you're not wrong. Nothing you said was incorrect. I just feel it's one of these situations where, you know, they talked about a 20-year plan. They don't even have a plan for the next season of Power. Maybe they do. Maybe this year will be different. Maybe after the 76 things will be different. Billy's got a big announcement that's supposed to happen at the 76th anniversary show. You know, maybe things will change. I'm not holding my breath.
I certainly wouldn't. I mean, look.
Wait. I 100,000% recommend you hold your breath, especially inside that ECW arena. You'll understand when you get in there.
Yeah, I was going to say that might be the case.
Does it smell like Bubba Ray Dudley?
Oh, like Bubba Ray Dudley. Smells like I won't go there. Never mind.
Thank you. We like being monetized here on YouTube. By the way, we really do enjoy being on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube.
YouTube.
The tube
YouTube.
The tube of views.
Oh my God, that sounds disgusting. Nobody I know would want that.
Is that like a one giant tube full of sheep?
Kind of.
Or are they goats? What are they used? Goats? Rams?
Ducks. I don't know.
They're not ducks. They don't even have their ducks in a row. And you're talking about a 20-year plan. I don't think they have a plan for a television taping.
Well,
I think they're wing that.
Well, you know, Jay said like whatever their plan was for Max. I think their plan for Max was the same as their plan for the Women's Tag Team Championship.
Hope to God that someone else gets popular and put the belts on them.
Well, I mean, I think their plan for the Women's Tag Team Championship was, well, let's have it since Mickey James was talking about we need more champions. So, you know, come on. You know, we're not going to have contenders or build up anything. We'll just have champions, and every now and then we'll change the titles around. And we'll hot shot titles so that people get excited about them. Well, that worked. And I think with Max, it's like, yeah, this is going to make Max look really good because we're going to put 2 belts on her, them, whatever. And, you know, sure, now you've effed up 2 belts.
Sean Mega posted something just now, 2 things that I think we should point out. He says, JCW has a ranking system. JCW. Yeah, that JCW. And I think he means the Juggalo Championship Wrestling. And if that's the case, like that's kind of... Anyways, then he also points out that how about stop letting the national and TV championships cut the line? And I guess that would be the NWA removing the Lucky 7 stipulation from the television title and removing the old historic national title being the number 1 contender for the 10 pounds of gold.
Well, I think it's all right for the national champion to be the number 1 contender. But again, oh my gosh, Jim Ross, wrestling's not difficult. Give me a good guy, give me a bad guy, give me a reason for them to be fighting. That is basically all it is. Somebody after the Acolyte was canceled was on Reddit and go, what do people want from their Star Wars thing? I think they're one of the people that was unhappy with it being canceled. I go, it's simple. They want a hero, they want a villain, they want the hero to triumph at the end, and they don't want the movies to be contradicted, except for maybe the last three, which they all want to forget. But, you know, life isn't difficult. Wrestling isn't difficult. Give me a reason. Hey, remember when the best moment I think I ever had in wrestling was after the Midnight Express regained the U.S. Tag Team Championship from the Fantastics. And Jim Cornette's out there boasting that they're the best tag team around. And I'm thinking to myself, I go, you're not even the World Tag Team Champions. And he goes, well, there may be, I don't remember his exact words, but, you know, to the point of, well, there may be another team out there, but it's hard to beat them when you can't get a match. Beautiful. Simple. Hey, we want the World Tag Team. We got the U.S. Tag Team Championships. We're never going to lose them. And now we're the best tag team, and we should have the World Tag Team Championship. But, you know, we can't get that if they don't wrestle us.
So, with that being said, then, let's talk a little bit about the 76th anniversary show.
Do we have to?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point. This is the moment.
That is true.
I do think we have to, because I'm going and I have interest to see a couple wrestlers, and I want to see Santana Garrett. I care more about that than I care about almost everything else on the damn card.
I didn't know you were a big Santana Garrett fan.
Honestly, I had a lot of talks with Kenny, so he kind of made me. When somebody has that much energy talking about somebody that's that positive so well, you just kind of, you know, eventually it seeps into you. And I also haven't seen Santana in a while, and I know Santana had talent, so it's nice to see somebody with talent in the NWA.
Yeah,
I use Santana right, but still.
What I like about that announcement with Santana Garrett is just exactly what you said. She's a former NWA Women's Champion. Although it hasn't been acknowledged, she was the one that stepped up to wrestle against Allison Kay at the Crockett Cup back in 2019 to wrestle for the vacated Women's Championship that Jazz had vacated. So there's something to be said for that. I give her props for being there for that moment. And since we haven't seen her in over a year, like, this might be a good opportunity for the NWA again. Like, you know, when Jack Stane showed up on Power, a lot of us were surprised because we didn't think we'd see anybody from the NWA's distant past come back to the NWA. So again, somebody like Santana Garrett, who had that credibility, that history with the NWA, being invited back to the show, I think is kind of a cool moment. I mean, do you guys agree, disagree?
I agree.
I agree.
And so, and I don't have the Santana Garrett graphic, and I'm disappointed I can't seem to find it. But yeah, so adding her to the Burke Invitational, which is a loaded gauntlet. You know, they say gauntlet. I don't know if it's a gauntlet as much as it's a battle royal. I don't know if it's a battle royal as much as it's a gauntlet. I don't know exactly how they're going to use this matchup, but we know that Kayla Rossi is going to be there. Holly Hood Haley J will be there.
Yay.
Misty Marks is going to be there. Kylie Page, you know, Kenzie's little sister, is going to be there. We know that Adriana Mosley is going to be there. Natalia Markova is going to be there. The aforementioned Santana Garrett will be a part of this. I also saw that La Rosa Negra will be a part of the Burke Invitational. And so of the names that we know, the names that we have seen in the Burke Invitational, I got to ask you first, DKM, who is going to walk away as the number one contender to the NWA Women's World Championship?
Markova.
With the news of Santana Garrett being introduced into this spectacle, Jaden, I mean, are you going with Santana, or do you have another choice you're going to vote for?
No, I'm not going with Santana. I'm going with Kylie Page.
Kylie. That sets up sister versus sister if Kenzie retains. I'm gonna side with DK here. I think that the time to do something with Natalia Markova is now.
Was a year ago? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, the time to do something with Natalia Markova was when she debuted like 2.5 years ago. The next best time to do something with her is right now. Until they differentiate the television titles, until they split them from Max, you got to do something with Markova. I don't know that she is the most important women in the NWA, but I feel like if she's going to continue to have any relevancy, if she's going to continue to be someone that you could build some of the division
more
around.
than one person?
Say that again?
She more than one person?
No. What did I say?
Women.
Build the women around?
Well, you said something like you don't know if she's like a. Well, I would have expected the word woman, and you said women.
Let's just keep moving forward. The bottom line is this. What are you going to do with Markova? What are you going to do with the tag titles? What are you going to do with the TV title? I guess they all kind of play a role, but if we see Max become the women's world champion, that would effectively make them forfeit the women's television championship, and thus allowing the women to be featured in a different capacity with a different title. They've already kind of set up that Kylie and Kenzie could be teaming again on a more regular basis. You have the King Bees, you have the It Girls, you have Kenzie, Kylie. That's 3 different women's tag teams existing in one time and space. We haven't seen that in a while. And if Max does win the women's title, her and Markova have a history of their feud together. So I am saying Markova. Long story short.
Next.
All right. So then, and the thing too, DK worked very hard to compile the list of the matches that are happening this weekend, because I'll be honest, I haven't been able to find it anywhere on the internet in one universal location. Noob is a huge Markova fan. He says it's obvious it's not Talia Markova. If she's not winning, then what's the point of even signing her?
I don't think it should be Markova yet. I think Markova should win a tag title, then the television, and then build up to the world.
That's fair too. Shawn Michaels says Hollywood going to win. They want the biggest name to win. Is Hollywood the biggest name at this point? I mean, the amount of support that Ohio Valley Wrestling received from the Netflix special, specifically with the focus on Hollywood Haley J, was very pragmatic in 2023, but I don't know if that it's still relevant in 2024, especially heading into the 76. You're not hearing Hollywood Haley J's name connected to TNA wrestling or MLW or WWE or AEW. So does she have stock? Is she really that valuable as an asset? She's a tag team wrestler in WOW Wrestling, and she is a former champion in Ohio Valley. What is her ceiling?
Well, it's not as high as she is, but honestly, no. The time to strike was when the irons were hot, were last year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this iron's now turning to wrought iron or pig iron. It's not hot anymore.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel too. And Sean, you know what? No one knows for sure. We'll find out Saturday night. But I don't think she is the big name that she was a year ago. And there's a lot of talented women in that invitational. So we'll see. But yeah,
I don't think most people are the big name that people think they are.
Sure.
I mean, like you said, if that Ohio Valley had really, oh man, look at this, look at her, whatever, you would have had Tony Khan sniffing around. You would have had WWE sniffing around. You know, WWE, they talk about somebody else. So they didn't bring her up. So I was just.
She was supposed to get a tryout, but she didn't pass something with medical. And that's the last I've heard of anything of anybody paying any kind of interest.
I know that she was on Busted Open and did talk about having, I believe she has epilepsy.
Yes.
She hasn't had, she's on medication for it, so she is being treated for it. So I don't know to what extent that could impact her career. But obviously, when you are AEW, when you're WWE, when you're on the road a lot more, they're going to definitely pay more attention to things like that because it could have some really tragic repercussions if it's not.
Yeah. Well, AEW wouldn't have been an issue then.
That's fair. All right.
Did you say medication, by the way, with quotes? I wasn't paying attention.
No.
Okay.
Look, I'm only basing it off of what I saw or what I heard on Busted Open. You can't hold me responsible for the truth of that. It was something that she said. So, you know, if she says it, you kind of have to go with it. The next matchup that I think, you know, we don't really know match placing, so forgive us if we're going out of order here, but will be the NWA United States Tag Team Championship match featuring 4 tag teams, a fatal 4-way, with Daisy Kill and Talos with Vampiro taking on the Fixers, LLC, versus the Slime Balls versus the Country Gentleman with Joe Kazana. First and foremost, I want to tell you guys that I might get Vampiro to come onto the Alliance Blog podcast. It's not set in stone, but I have a company working with me to help wrangle him in. So that will be really cool if we can get Vampiro on the podcast. I'm not going to hold my breath for it, but I wanted to say it because I'm excited about it. Jaden, tell me what you think about this 4-way match. Okay, Jaden, don't tell me. DK, are you still here?
I'm still here. So what do I think about this 4-way match?
Yeah.
I hate 4-way matches. And then who do I want to win? In order of who I would like to win, top to bottom, I'd go Country Gentlemen, Fixers, as long as they keep them serious, Slime Balls, and Daisy Kill and Talos. So who do I think will win? I think maybe the Country Gentlemen will come out.
I feel like it has to be the Country Gentlemen. The Slime Balls, you know, after seeing the Slime Balls again on TV this week, I'm not saying that they're growing on me, but I'm beginning to hate them less, if that makes sense. The Fixers, I think, need to rehab their image. It might even be time for Billy to break that tag team up. I don't know what you could do with the Fixers to make them interesting and relevant again. Daisy and Talos are 2-time U.S. tag team champions. But again, it's a division that is very watered down, as we can see from the teams that are in this matchup. You know, the Fixers haven't had much success as a tag team in 2024. The Slime Balls have not had much success as a tag team on Power in 2024. The Country Gentlemen have had a few wins here and there on Power. And, of course, Kills and Talos are your tag team champions. So I would say that there's something to be said about them. But I feel like the Kazana brothers kind of have to be the guys to win this one.
I'm with Sean Mega. You kind of root for the Slime Balls just because it'd be totally unpredictable. You know, what? It's almost like because I don't respect the titles. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
And Dodie, I shut off my camera because for some reason, when I'm looking at it in the studio, I look totally clear. But when I look at it on YouTube, I'm so blurry, it's almost not worth it. So I figured, I don't know, shouldn't be a bandwidth issue. I don't know what the problem is, but I just decided to cut the camera for tonight.
Yeah, I noticed it was very grainy, but I just, not going to bust your chops about it. It is what it is.
And it's a good camera too. That's the problem that I'm having. It's like
normally it looks a lot better than it did tonight. Tonight looked pretty bad. So I don't know what it is, and I thought it might be mine. Like my setup too. Like let me take the graphic off. My setup too. Like it looks crystal clear to me, but I don't know what you guys are seeing on your end.
Well, when I'm looking at you and I look at me, like if I turn my camera back on and I'm looking at you and I look at me, everything looks sharp in StreamYard. When I look in YouTube, I look like I have blur set for me. And you don't look as sharp as you do on StreamYard, but it looks like a normal video.
Yeah.
So until I can figure out what the problem is with my camera, we're not gonna wear glasses in the ring to watch. So
I thought you'd never look better, DK.
Well, you're probably not wrong. I mean, look, I don't claim to be the most beautiful guy in the world. I claim to be the second most beautiful guy in the world. So
one more thing technologically that I'll point out here is that although my camera is a high definition camera, full HD, StreamYard's limitation is only 720 DPI, so it's not going to be crystal clear all the time on our end. What you guys get is at best going to be 720 without me spending a lot of more money to do these shows. So it is what it is, and we'll move on from that.
At least it's not 420. But real quick, I was saying, I guess you guys didn't hear me. I just was hoping it was the Fixers were U.S. Tag Champs and they were just defending against the Country Gentlemen. I really wanted to see that. I didn't care less about anybody else in the match.
I hear you on that one too. I really like the Country Gentlemen. I feel like they represent what the NWA, some of the best that the NWA has to offer in terms of these are guys from the territories that could take those titles to other territories and make those tag titles meaningful. Dave Scooby just said it too. The U.S. tag titles need to become a territory title. In my opinion, it used to build up the tag teams in the territories. I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. Each territory is making a tag team title, and I get why you do that. I just don't think you should do it. I think it's easy to book like the NWA is so centralized right now with the majority of the NWA promotions being in Tennessee or in that Illinois, Ohio type area. It's so centrally located that it's not like you're paying thousands of dollars to have a tag team fly into your venue and you got to put them up in a 5-star hotel. I mean, most of these guys live within driving distance of these shows, 2 or 3 hour drive to get there. And I'm not saying that's like super great, but like, look, that's the life of a champion. And I feel like that would be a better use of, I think, resources than crowning tag champions that aren't ever going to leave your territory. But Doty says, the Billy somehow is so high on the slime balls. All of the teams are technically ever win the U.S. tag titles. Don't surprise if slime balls get their moment. This is Billy we're talking about. And yeah, I mean, that's true too. The slime balls would be the unpredictable tag team like Sean Mega said. Doty says he's rooting for the Kazanas. Matt says that Daisy and Talos shouldn't be a tag team. Talos should be DK's heater in the junior division. What do you mean?
Daisy Kill.
Daisy. Oh, okay.
Not DKM. Yeah, DKM technically is a junior heavyweight, but am I right, DK?
One day I'll be a junior heavyweight. Sean Mega says AJ and Wrecking Ball can make a great and valuable single wrestlers for the NWA. I also wouldn't mind seeing Wrecking Ball as a singles wrestler myself. Jay Bradley too. I think Jay Bradley had a very good match with EC3. It was a title match and he lost, but it was some of the best I thought Jay Bradley looked last year. And because we haven't seen a lot of the of the Fixers as a tag team this year, I mean, I wouldn't hate to see them take a break and pursue single matches myself.
Question.
Yeah.
Would either one of you be upset if one of the fixers beat Silas for the Joe Casano Promotions title?
No.
No.
Okay. I wouldn't either.
I can't even say the same about AJ. If AJ did it either, I wouldn't have been upset.
I like AJ. That's the thing. I like AJ, and Casey isn't bad either. And I'm still okay with those guys being the tag champions, the U.S. tag champions, or just tag team wrestlers in general. Because I still think there's a lot more upside with both of those guys. And they weren't shoved down our throat. The original Country Gentleman, I felt like was getting a little bit too much, but this version of the Country Gentleman, I feel like is it's not that bad. I kind of like this setup too. Their Papa Joe's over there in the corner with them. It's kind of they call themselves the Country Gentlemen, but they might as well be the Kazana Boys because it's the same thing. Over Metal suggests the Heat Seekers, but they're not even on the radar at this point. We don't see them on TV. We don't get them regularly anywhere in the NWA right now. So
I don't even think they're wrestling for Kazana anymore.
No, I haven't seen them work Kazana the last few shows. Doty, kind of going off topic here, Doty says Thrillbilly and AJ should be the guys that the NWA should build to their next blood. I don't disagree with that either. I think both those guys are very, very talented. They're both hosses, and I think you look 5 years down the road, they could both still be a very compelling components of the NWA if they're allowed to be that. All right, so that's kind of that matchup. Real quick, I did want to answer Jam and Music Man. Yeah, I will be there at 76. A lot of us are going to be there. Jaden will be there. If you guys never have met Jaden before, you don't even know what he looks like, but he'll be the guy sitting next to me. And so you can finally see who he is. It's like the big reveal, man. And the only ones that are going to see him are the ones that are going to be there at in Philly. And then also
then watch the CW app.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to be close to front row. Then also Luthez is going to be there. We know Sam Retro was going to be there. Big Chris Dog is going to be there. And there's a few other guys that'll be there as well. If you're going to be there, if you're coming up to Philly for the show, come say hi, get a free t-shirt if I have your size. And I look forward to meeting all of you guys. Tony says, well, you shout, Billy, your booking sucks.
I hope he's not asking me because I could probably say worse.
Sean suggests, Jaden, you should wear a lucha mask the whole time. Keep that identity secret, sir.
Maybe I'll quickly. How quickly can I get one from the alliance-wrestling.com website?
Well, we don't have any masks for sale, but I can bring one for you. Look, hey, so look, I've got Rey Mysterio. I've got Old Timo Dragon. This one is from the Superstar. This actually is this was a gift from Dave Scooby. And I've got the Blue Demon one over here in the back. Or you could be the Alliance guy, the Alliance luchador. So just let me know. I'll pack it up.
Pack it up, Vic. I can promote the merch.
And let me know because I will bring that. That would be fucking hilarious. Everyone's like, hey, where's Jano? He's the guy with the mask on.
Hell yeah. If you give me the right payday, I'll show up on the alliancewrestling.com white bikini.
I sold one of those, but it was to my wife. So, hey-oh. That wasn't supposed to be funny. That's real. Okay. So going back to more match talk about it. Jamis is wearing a Superstar mask. I don't know if I want to take that one out. But maybe I could bring the Blue Demon mask.
I might have to win the NWA belt. Not tell anybody.
Yeah. You know what you do is you win the title, then nobody will book you, just like the real Blue Demon.
Yeah, then I'll lose in a trios match and never be the one pinned.
Yeah, there it is. We also have a a match to determine the number one contender for Alex Taylor's World Junior Heavyweight Championship, with Alex Misery taking on Jack Cartwheel. This will be a matchup featuring two high flyers. Misery, we've seen famously feuding with Colby Carino in the NWA, and Cartwheel has really kind of been like the go-to guy to challenge for that World Junior Heavyweight Championship. We saw him challenge Colby Carino last year at the 76th anniversary show. We saw him challenge Kerry Morton at when the World is a Vampire tour in Mexico last year, and then also challenging I forgot his name already. Help me out. The former World Junior Heavyweight Champion.
Alex Taylor?
No, the former. Joe Alonzo.
Joe Alonzo?
Yeah, Joe Alonzo. He also
Joe
challenged.
Alonzo? Oh.
Yeah. Cartwheel challenged Joe Alonzo in Forney, Texas for the title. So, although not a regular on the roster, Jack Cartwheel has been a perennial challenger for the World Junior Heavyweight title. This would be the first time he's actually been a number one contender if he were to defeat Alex Misery. So I got to ask you, DK, you've seen Jack Cartwheel live. Who are you rooting for in this match? Who do you think is going to win this match?
Yeah, I don't care. I don't want either one of them as champions, so it's just whatever.
All right. Jaden, do you have a suggestion? Do you have a choice?
If we have Jack Cartwheel, are we going to have Billy Backflip and Ronald Roundoff? And
But sure.
Yeah, those guys, you might as well bring them all in. And then you got Bobby Joe Bellyflop, and if we're gonna do some gymnastics, we should have them all in. I honestly, I don't care about either, so I'm gonna go with Alex Misery just because Jack Cartwheel's failed 3 times. Why should he get a 4th?
That's fair. Overmetal says Harry Hip Toss. Don't forget about him either.
And Chris Armbar.
I'd like to see Misery just for the fact that it would be fresh blood in the junior heavyweight division. And, a lot of people don't know this, but Misery is the son of El Leon Apollo, the former NWA North American champion. So that would be kind of cool in terms of just seeing that the legacy of the El Leon continue in the NWA with his son, Alex Misery.
I heard he lived in New York not that long ago, too. Maybe he'll show up.
Hey, if the Blue Meanie could show up, anyone could show up.
I wonder if Blue Meanie will be in the women's match, the women's invitational.
Wasn't he
got
married?
Boobs.
Wasn't he married? Oh my God.
No, he wasn't married to Jasmine St. Clair. He was just dating her. But he's got boobs. So why not?
All I know is that dude lost so much weight and then put it all back on, and I kind of feel bad for him.
I also kind of relate to that.
Yeah, it's every 6 years, I think, for me. Next up, we have the tag team. I don't think I have a graphic for it. The tag team matchup with Zion and Magic Jake Dumas taking on the team of Baron Von Storm and Jack Stain.
I hope the ceiling collapses, but only on the intro for Magic Jake Dumas. Or I hope he gets asbestos poisoning. I don't know. Mesothelioma. That's what I was trying to think of.
Oh my God, dude!
Call Lundy Law.
Did you just literally wish cancer on a wrestler, man?
He is a cancer. Can I wish cancer? Can cancer catch cancer?
With all apologies.
Next thing you know, you find out his birthday is in June, at the end of June.
All apologies to Jake Dumas. I know now he won't be on this show anytime soon. So I haven't heard DKM chime in, but I kind of can guess his answer. This is another matchup that, I love Jack Stain. You guys know that. I talk about how much I think he's a great asset to the company. I feel the NWA is not utilizing him to his best best resources. Same thing with Tim Storm. I get why the gimmick. I don't like the gimmick. I don't like it at all. But I know that he would prefer to be wrestling than not to be. So this is a matchup that I think I'm not going to be heavily invested in, but I will be rooting for my guy Jack Stain.
It'd be better if he was like a George Animal Steel instead of a Baron von Raschke.
Well, he's the high school teacher, so it lends itself to it.
Yeah,
I want to know who Storm's going to put the claw on. I'm kind of hoping Idol.
I wouldn't hate that.
Maybe he'll put the claw on. Maybe he'll put the claw on Dumas and give him Black Lung or something.
You really hate that guy.
It's such a. First of all, there's a wrestler with there's a cigarette just hanging out of his mouth, looking like a dope. Just having a stupid old cigarette just hanging out of his mouth. Which one would be one of those exploding ones that blow his damn head off? It's such an embarrassment. It's such a bad look.
Okay, now before we go further with the show, do you think that was his idea, or do you think that was Billy Corgan's idea?
What, the cigarette? I think it's 100% his stupid idea with his stupid gimmick and he's supposed to be a freaking athlete. It's not even an athlete supporter.
Well, you remember when Big Show used to come to the ring in WCW with smoking a cigarette and he'd wrestle the match with a cigarette in his mouth?
Yeah, it was stupid too.
Yeah, it was. Okay.
Didn't like it when the Sandman did it. At least the Sandman was, admittedly not supposed to be anything other than a guy too stupid to realize he's being hurt.
That's fair. The next matchup, Sam Retro's like, I like Magic Jake. Sorry. You and Jaden do not agree on this one, Retro. Good to see you, buddy.
I really like you, Sam Retro, but that's one I'm not going to agree with. Magic Jake Dumas is the Billy Corgan booking of professional wrestling.
Oh.
It's a visual representation. So is, now you think about it, so is Gags the Gimp, so I guess,
Yeah. So that will take us to the next matchup. It is Colby Carino's coming out party. He's no longer a junior heavyweight. He wants to be a heavyweight, and he is stepping into the foray of the heavyweight division with Thrillbilly Silas Mason. I mean, if you're going to step into the heavyweight division, there isn't very many guys bigger and badder than Silas Mason. I'm already telling you right now, I feel like as much as I like Colby, this match is for Thrillbilly. Jaden, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, he wants to be taken seriously, and he's against the biggest dog. I guess that's like prison theory.
Sure.
But if you really wanted him to be taken seriously, you should give him some wins first as a heavyweight and build his way up to Silas and then build up that match. But again, if Billy Corgan, I don't think Billy Corgan ever had Legos. He doesn't know how to build anything. DK?
He probably played with a Rector set.
Well, you're not wrong. Look, I figure that's going to be... It should be a squash by Silas more than not. Like a 60-40. That's the way it should go. I think Silas is going to get the win in the end because that seems to be the one person that they're willing to push, even if they don't exactly know how to do it.
Okay. So then that will take us to the next match where I just moved my phone so I can't see it. The next match would be the four-way, which I do think I have the graphic for that one. The four-way, which is going to have that's a tag match. The four-way that's going to have Mims and Brian Idol and Paul Burchill and Carson Drake all in the same ring at the same time. It's a four-way heavyweight match. I don't know what it is, but what do you guys think about this matchup? Don't all talk at once.
I kind of slightly like Carson Drake in an annoying kind of way. I like Burchill. I kind of slightly don't hate Brian Idol, and I kind of slightly like Mims. So this is probably the most over match so far that I've seen tonight for me. Any one of them could win, but I'm going to win Mims because G's is from Philly. Sorry, yeah, G's right. G's Sabian's from Jersey, from Philly. I mean, so G's is from Philly. So I'm going with Mims.
I'm going with Mims because he needs it most.
I'm also going to go with Mims because he needs it the most. He put over Max earlier in the year. Max has done nothing with that TV title. Mims had something interesting when he was TV champion, turning into a more heel character, and of course now being a heel with partnering with Black G's. I think it could really radically change his character and send him in a new direction. And a big win on this night could set him up for a potential matchup for the national title or the TV title or something. Anything, any positive movement would be good. I like Burchill. I hope the NWA ends up doing something with Burchill. I'm not going to hold my breath for them to do anything with Burchill. Carson Drake, I think, is so young and so early in his career that he has time to, not flounder. That's not the word I'm looking for, but if he goes on a losing streak, it's not going to hurt him as a star. In fact, I'd probably put Carson Drake with Anthony Idol and have him take over that Jordan Clearwater spot. And Brian Idol, I've never been a big Brian Idol guy. I didn't like him as Mercurio. I don't like him as Brian Idol. I could care less what happens to him. I hope he doesn't win. So Mims is my guy on this one, and I think we all agree on that. Yeah?
Next.
Yes.
Next up, we have on the list that our good friend DKM compiled for us is the tag team matchup, the grudge match between the Murdochs and the Southern Six. This is essentially the Crockett Cup tournament champions from 2023 versus the Crockett Cup tournament champions from 2024. We saw this match at the Crockett Cup. We saw this match earlier this year in a cage. I don't know. I think if you have the Southern Six lose, you kind of hurt their momentum after winning the Crockett Cup. But also, what are you doing with Murdochs if they're not beating the ever-living crap out of everybody? I'm kind of undecided on this one, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say, Jaden.
I would book it that the Southern Six win. Murdoch turns on Knox. Murdoch's now managed by Pollo. And Murdoch gets a serious run, maybe starting with a couple of champions challenging and build up actual championships using Murdoch to do so.
All right. That's not a bad idea. DK, your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think it depends.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, seriously. Hey, by the way, remember how the NWA congratulated what do you call them? The EC3 on being world champion for a year?
Yes.
And they congratulated Kenzie Page for being women's champion for a year?
Yes. But having the what are you trying to say, DK? I'm trying to think what you're trying to play.
Did they congratulate Blunt Force Trauma?
They did not.
Okay. So, again, I talked about last week, there are rumors that the titles changed hands. I do not know it. I've not heard anything about it. They're just rumors. I've not seen pictures. But if the titles have changed hands, and if Murdochs are the champions, then Murdochs beats Southern Six. If Murdochs are not the champions, Southern Six should beat Murdochs. And if they're smart, they go with Jaden's booking idea, but we all know they're not smart. But yeah, then you just bring Murdochs to a natural end in some way. Murdoch is helping a lot behind the scenes now. Kind of like Alliance. So, you probably don't even need to do a whole lot. Just put Knox on his own, let him go after the TV title, national title, some title, or whatever. But yeah, if the title has changed hands, then it depends on who the champion is. So I'm going to go with the dual answer here. Depends on if Murdoch's is champion or not.
That's very.
You want to hear really inappropriate jokes since we're talking about depends?
Sure.
I'll tell you guys at the end of the podcast tonight when we talk about it.
Okay.
Luthez says the lack of continuity gives me a headache. Brother, you ain't kidding. Retro agrees. The U.S. tag belts are gold. The 6 should hold. They can defend it in JCW and JCP. Yeah, I mean, look, it's the way I see it is this. The 6, I think,
gentlemen are a better choice.
What's that?
Country gentlemen are a better choice.
I think for those titles, yeah, I agree. And look, Kerry Morton has the heritage, the hereditary of being a championship tag team wrestler from his pops. Him and his dad have held tag team gold in other wrestling promotions. Kerry has been the junior heavyweight champion for the NWA. Alex Taylor's the junior heavyweight champion currently. Silas Mason's the former national champion. If we had some sort of freebird rule with the Southern Six where they became tag champions, I wouldn't hate that one bit, especially when you have Silas Mason being the heater for that group or just even being in the tag team and defending those belts. I think that would be a money tag team, especially if Blunt Force Trauma did lose those belts and we see BFT kind of phased out, which, I'm not saying that's the case, but we don't really have a history of having world tag team champions stick around after they lose the titles. It's well documented that those tag teams end up disappearing rather quickly.
Because Billy hates tag teams.
Well, let's just point it out. Tell me the one tag team that held the world tag team titles that are still in the NWA currently. I'll wait.
We can barely find singles champions that are still in the NWA.
Not many.
So Blunt Force Trauma beat who? La Rebellion? La Rebellion are gone. La Rebellion beat who? La Rebellion beat Hawks Ari because the Continental Connection forfeited the titles. They defeated La Rebellion. They disappeared. La Rebellion, who did they beat for the tag titles? Do you guys remember?
Wasn't it Stevenson? Not Stevens or the Kratos.
Yep. They're not a tag team anymore. And then who did they beat? They beat L.A. Knight and James Storm. Obviously, we know that they're not there. Who did they beat? Well, they beat the Rock and Roll Express. Who did they beat? They beat the Wild Cards. Who the Wild Cards beat? Villains Enterprise. And none of those teams are currently in the NWA at this point. So if Blunt Force Trauma did lose those tag titles, there's a good indication that we might not see them much longer. As
a lot of those tag teams don't exist anymore.
Most of them don't.
If Blunt Force Trauma is still around, I hope they fight Red Dog Rodney Bernard and I can't think of that other African American gentleman.
Marche Rocket.
Yeah, Marche Rocket. I hope we see that match.
I really like Marche Rocket, and I've met Marche Rocket. He probably doesn't know me, but I've met him. He's a really good dude. I wish he was still around in the NWA. At the very least, when they're in Chicago, they should bring him in. I mean, he lives in Chicago. He'd be a perfect fit for that show.
Didn't we do a match for NWA Chicago?
He might have. I don't remember. I don't recall.
Hey, you want to hear something that's going to shock you?
Let's hear it.
Okay. One of the reasons I wouldn't put the U.S. tag titles on Southern Six.
Let's hear it.
I would put the TV title on Kerry Morton.
I don't hate that either.
What?
Yes, but I don't like Kerry
Where's my
Morton.
Pikachu face?
TV title.
Say that again, DK. You kind of cut out.
I said yes, but I don't like Kerry Morton. But I would still put the TV title on him.
But can I do you one better?
Sure.
I'd put the national title on Kerry Morton.
Never. But I think you'd make a good run with the TV title.
Sure. Retro does point out Marche did wrestle for Chicago, so there you go.
Yeah, I thought they had built him.
All right, the next matchup will be if DK's matching here is right, would be the It Girls challenging the King Bees. I'm going to tell you right now, I think it'd be really cool to see Ella Envy win with another tag team partner, further solidifying her as the best female tag team wrestler in the NWA. The King Bees, I mean, they've been fine, but again, I don't blame them for this, but the NWA has done so little to make this division meaningful that, like, I don't feel like they've had any signature moments. I don't feel like they've, outside of winning the titles, I don't feel like there's been a big moment for them. And I just feel like the whole division kind of continues to flounder until they do something with it. And again, Sam Retro points out that the It Girls have no history together. This is true. I'm not. You're 100% right. We know that as far as this team up goes, Samantha Starr has been in the corner of Ella Envy for several months now. She was in the corner for her for the world title shot she received. She was in the corner for her with the television title against Maxine Paler. So this will be Ella Envy's third opportunity to challenge for a title in this calendar year. Like I said, there is no momentum, I think, either way in this matchup. And Sam Retro says Samantha Starr sucks. I'm not disagreeing with that either. But I just haven't seen, the King Bees, they haven't really given them much to do. Losing the title would shake up the division. Of course, if, and this is a big if, we see Kenzie and Kylie compete more as a tag team, the history with them and Ella Envy is more prevalent than the history with them and the King Bees. And I'm not saying you just do a title switch just to appease one matchup, but I feel like what more can the King Bees do as tag team champions? They need to build up the division, and you build up the division by crowning new champions and having, the King Bees go from being the champions to being, the challengers. I think would be, make for some interesting dynamic down the road. DKM, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Are the King Bees signed? Did they sign them?
Yeah, I believe they did. Let me look real quick. I think they did.
Well, here's my thing, real quick. They've held the titles for a while. I know it doesn't always seem that way because of how convoluted the tapings are and stuff like that. But they've held the titles for a while, so I tend to think that the It Girls are going to win. And again, I don't have a problem with the fact that they haven't really done much as a tag team because they have, at least, you pointed out, been together in some form or fashion. So, I think Samantha Starr's all right. Wouldn't, list her in my 10 best women wrestlers on the planet, but I wouldn't list her in my 10 worst either. So I think
real quick before we move on, I do want to point out King Bees won the titles back in January 13th by defeating Ella and Kylie. Since then, they defended the titles against Ella and Kylie in March at the Hard Times Signature Live event. They defended the titles at the TV tapings in Tampa against La Rosa Negra and Ruthie J. They defended the titles at Mission Pro against Kaya Dream and Maya World. They defended the titles in Buda, Texas for NWA Texas Pro Gorgeous against Jasmine Allure and Vert Vixen. They defended the titles against Rekha Tahaka and Tiffany Nieves in Forney, Texas. And they most recently defended the titles against Amira and Brooke Havoc in Pasadena, Texas for NWA Texas Pro Already Platinum. Never heard of these wrestling promotions, but so they have been defending the titles. They've had 6 defenses over the course of the year, and only 3 of those have been on NWA television. So, I don't know what to tell you. Jaden, what are your thoughts on this one?
I have heard of those promotions, by the way.
Yeah, you live in Texas.
All his promotions live in Texas. Like my avatar, maybe it actually kicked me out of the StreamYard when I updated it for some reason.
Hey, do you want me to list all the New Jersey promotions I know?
I assume Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators.
Yep.
What about Monster Factory?
And maybe Mawa.
Oh, are they in New Jersey?
Yes, both are in New Jersey.
I thought they were in Maryland for some reason. Or Delaware.
Nope.
Someplace like that.
Nope. Mawa is in.
But let's put it this way: if they don't have any type of relationship with Dog, I don't know about them.
Okay.
So yeah. So yes, I do know the Texas promotion. So, but that's what I always say. I go, none of us know the promotions elsewhere because why would we care?
But what was the question now? Do I care about this tag match?
Yeah.
I want Samantha Starr and Pally Page wins just because I want to see you get all giggly at the 76.
Shit.
No other reason. I met Samantha Starr many years ago at one of the NWA conventions. She was a very, very nice person. Talked to her, talked to her mother. She was dating some other guy, and I remember he had a really big head.
Did she end up marrying him because she's married to Boz?
It's not Boz.
Okay.
No, this guy was skinnier, and he had it looked like somebody took a Funko Pop skull and put it on and put flesh over it. That's how the guy was kind of built. He had that big, really overly big head compared to his body. Not like the Exodus Pro champion who has a forehead, a before head, an after head.
Wow. You're talking about PB Smooth, my man.
And hair.
Yeah. It looks like somebody put a dead plant on top of a cone head with a really bad tan.
Are you saying that PB Smooth looks like a big toe that somebody put a face on?
Do you know who what was his name? Maybe was it Pinhead? There was a carnival attraction that was featured a lot on television, and it was DK. Can you help me on this one? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm totally lost.
Jim Cornette says that the big Saddam Singh from AEW looks like him.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah. Pinstripe? No. Pinhead?
Yeah. No, I don't. It's not coming to me.
But that's what it kind of reminds me of. Somebody put like a really dirty mop on top of that guy's head and gave him a tan.
Okay. I have no idea what you're talking about at this point.
Apparently I don't either, but if anybody in the chat does.
And Retro said, come on, Jane, you're talking about my guy Smooth.
I know, I'm going heel turn on Sam Retro right now. I'm sorry, man.
You guys used to
I watch your stuff. You still got good stuff on and I like your toy collection.
You guys used to be like thick and thieves, and now you're like mortal enemies. Did I just rhyme? I'm going to be a famous rapper.
Yeah.
Paladin says that Star has only been working a few years. I don't think anyone here is that invested. I think Star's been around longer than a few years. She is a third generation wrestler. I just feel like I heard Bully Ray say this the other day, and it kind of made me second guess it. But I would say that she feels green, but I've never taken a bump. So who am I to say what's green and what's not? I will say this: I feel like for someone who's been in the business for as long as Samantha Starr has been, that she should be a little bit less laconic and wooden in the ring. I feel like she still hesitates on taking moves, and it gives the impression that she's not comfortable with what she's doing. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not. I've never wrestled in a professional wrestling match. never trained. I've never taken a bump. So, I can't really specify exactly what it all is. What I see from her is she feels like she stutters in the ring.
Okay, next. Zippy. Zippy. How can I forget Zippy?
I was waiting for you to see that.
I'm very upset at that I could not think of Zippy the Pinhead. I got the Pinhead part right. Oh, I'm so mad because now I really 100% know. This is why you shouldn't take chair shots when you're a wrestler, peeps.
Well, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a little disappointed in you as well.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm just trying to stall to get the graphic up, but I don't know if I'll get it up in time. So the next matchup, of course, is the one that a lot of us have been excited about. We've been talking about, and that's going to be Max the Impaler challenging for the Women's World Championship. Now, we've seen these two go a couple of times in the NWA, Max the Impaler and Kenzie Page. Now, Max the Impaler won the television title by beating Kenzie Page. Like I said, they've faced each other more than once in an NWA ring, and I gotta wonder, this matchup could have so many implications. If Max wins, it'll free up the TV title. It would allow Kenzie to pursue the tag titles. It could really change the dynamic of the division. With that being said, has Kenzie done a bad job at being a Women's World Champion? My answer to that is no. I think she's done a great job being Women's World Champion. So I'm curious as to what you guys think. I just laughed at the photo that Jaden sent me. So what do you guys think? We'll start with you, Jaden. Who do you think comes out on top on this one?
I really hope Kenzie wins. Because what has Max done for anybody as TV champs, plural? So what confidence will we have that Max would do anything? And that's not against Max. I think it's partially the NWA. But what confidence do we have that Max would do anything as women's champion?
Well, that's a good point. Now, if you are keeping track of their encounters in the ring, remember Kenzie Page defeated Max the Impaler to become the television champion at the 312 pay-per-view in Highland Park, Illinois. So, I mean, that was the first stone to be, thrown in their feud. They have been on opposite sides of the ring during, multi-person matches, like the Queen Bee like tournament that they had where it was like the 3 women against 3 other women. You had Angelina Love, Max the Impaler, and Markova defeating Pretty and Power, Ella, Kenzie, and Roxy. Then you had Camille, Markova, and Ruthie J defeat Max and Pretty Empowered at the World of the Vampire Tour in Florida. And then Kenzie Page won the number 1 contendership for the Mildred Burke Invitational Gauntlet at last year's anniversary show to get that opportunity to challenge for the world title, and then lost to Max the next night, only to turn around and challenge Camille for the title after losing. So they do have kind of a history back and forth together. But again, I want to hear DKM. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, here are my thoughts. My thoughts are Max goes over Kenzie. Kenzie and Kylie go after the IT girls, information technology.
Right.
And Markova challenges Max at the December thing back in Alabama, which is why she won the gauntlet or Burke or whatever. And that's the picture I was thinking of. So I don't think Brian Idol challenges EC3 though. So that's my thought, that if anybody put 10 seconds of booking thought into it, that's what they would go with. which is why probably every one of my predictions in the female thing is wrong. But yeah, that's what I would do.
So,
and by the way, I would put Markova over Max.
I think I would do that too. I think that's not a bad setup. Everything you said, I tend to agree with, except for maybe I would have Markova challenge and maybe win the title at Sao Win, and then a rematch would happen at that Looks at Kill, where Sao Win is kind of like the spooky pay-per-view. So Max would be defending the title against Markova there. Markova wins. It's kind of upsetting the spooky season, and then you flip it around where it's Markova's pay-per-view, and then she ends up losing or defending the title against Max to really solidify herself as champion.
I would put her in. I think the women's, where I feel bad for Kenzie is that she followed Camille.
She what?
She followed Camille.
Yeah.
And Camille had done such an awesome job as champion. And Camille had, the match of the night matches on almost every pay-per-view that she was on. Very few that she didn't. And that's hard to live up to. And so I think, let's get the title off Kenzie. I don't know what her contract is or how long she has left. Chelsea Green has brought her up as basically saying she told the WWE about her. So, she might be next bound before we know it. But, let her chase the tag team titles, and then we'll see where we go from there. But Max doesn't need a title in that monster position, so I kind of hate when they put titles on monsters.
Yeah.
So then I think Markova would benefit with title. Max, not as much. And not that I have anything against them being champion, just I don't think they get the same benefit out of it. And so, yeah, give the title to Max, drop the title to Markova, and go on with that. Send the Page sisters after the information technology girls, and you can keep the King Bees around as challengers and even people to eventually regain the title. I don't have anything against that. If they tell stories, please. All I ask is that you tell a story.
The premise of pro wrestling should be like any given Sunday, right? Like any given Sunday, any given Saturday, one person should be able to beat another person. Like it shouldn't be such that there's no way that this wrestler will never lose. Maxine Paler has done the job for Kenzie. She won the TV title by defeating her. It wouldn't be crazy to think that Kenzie walks out on Saturday night, still your women's world champion. It also wouldn't be crazy to see Max walk out as women's world champion. Whoever leaves will have a bullseye on them from whoever wins the Burke Invitational. So if they mapped it out right, Sao Win could be, headlined by Maxine Paler defending the women's world championship against Markova or, La Princesa, Tiffany Nieves, or whatever they're going to do. This is a great opportunity to kind of hit a reset button on what's happening in the NWA right now with some of these matchups. And again, if Kenzie loses, there's no shame in losing to a talent like Maxine Paler. Kenzie had a great run as champion. Just looking at Kenzie's win-loss record and who she's beaten in the NWA defending that title. I mean, she has victories over Tiffany Nieves, victories over Roxy, victories over Ella Envy, Brittany Jade, Misa Kate, Lily La Pescadita, Natalia Markova, Freya the Slaya, Jada Stone, Miss Star, Ruthie J. Outside of the NWA, like Danny Jordan, Crystal Rose, Ari Alexander. So, I mean, she's had a lot of good title defenses. So to see her if she were to lose the belt, I don't think it would hurt her career or her trajectory. In fact, I think being able to slide her back into the tag team division with Kylie, you would have now 3 different tag teams. And I think that would be, if you're only making this decision based on need, I think it helps out the NWA a lot better by having an additional solid tag team in the women's division. Whereas right now, really, you don't. You have the tag team champions and whatever makeshift tag team they throw together to compete. So for that reason, I also think that Max will win the title. Jaden, I'm sorry, did we get to you? Did you weigh in on this one?
I think I said I wanted the champ to retain.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think about that. I if I didn't, I was meaning to.
Yeah,
I wanted Kenzie to win.
My brain is not. I have not taken the chair shots you have, but my brain is not exactly great either. Noob says, "Hey, Max should be an attraction wrestler, and attraction wrestler should not be champion." Noob also said that put a title on Markova, put some relevancy to her, because, like I said, what's the point of signing her if the NWA continues wasting her talent? I mean, Noob, I'm going to say this: like, you look at that roster, and there's a dozen guys and gals who don't have titles on their name that signed at deals with the NWA. There's a dozen of wrestlers who aren't in championship contention that the NWA inked to deals. I mean, they still need to have a roster, even if their plan isn't to put the belt on somebody. But I kind of feel like that might be the plan, but I don't know. And then lastly,
for me, Markova's been there so long though, and been in title hunts, that it's, again, we kind of get to the, if she comes out of this without anything, then it's time for her to go, wrestle elsewhere for a while. And as Jim Cornette said, go learn a new hold. And I can't miss you if you don't go away.
Yeah.
Those type of things. Stick with Godzilla. And so, and that's nothing against Markova, but it is, what do you do? Tommy Rich got hot in Georgia, and then Tommy Rich left Georgia.
Yeah.
And he came back. And so just, that's what you do. The Freebirds left Texas a couple of times, and then they'd come back. You got to go away and learn new holds. You got to go away and do some, let me miss you. Perfect.
Right. And then now that takes us, of course, to the main event. Jesus. The main event, of course, which I don't have a graphic for, which is EC3 Tom Latimer for the 3rd time. This is the 2nd time for the world title. We don't know what the status is with the national title, if that's still going to even be, if that's still around the waist of Tom Latimer or not, or if that title is being surrendered to get this title shot. We just, these are things we don't have answers to. And now you've got Exodus Pro and EC3 mentioning that Richard Holiday will also be in Philadelphia and potentially at the NWA pay-per-view, the Signature Live event. So it's kind of hard to say what's even going to happen there. But if everything just remains constant, I don't see EC3 losing the belt to Tom Latimer. I like Tom Latimer a lot, and I really would like to see him get an opportunity to be World's Heavyweight Champion. Even if it's a short-term run, I'd like to see him be World's Heavyweight Champion. I just don't know that the NWA sees it the same way I do. DK, what do you think?
Well, I think this would be a lot easier if it was WWE or AEW, because I'd say that Holiday will interfere, either cost Latimer the match or get it thrown out or whatever, so that they would build to a 3-way for the title. So that would be modern booking. Whatever happens, I hope EC3 retains the title. And not that I have anything against Latimer. This kind of goes back to I don't want the anniversary show to be the title change. EC3's had it for a year now. We need to give to somebody else. And so if they did this right, they would end this in such a way that I want to see a rematch.
Right.
If they did this right, it'll be EC3 retaining his title in some form or fashion. Count out, disqualification, draw, double count out, double disqualification, whatever you want. And set up something that makes me go, I want to see this match. And if Holiday gets involved, then I would want Latimer to go through Holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, that's kind of simple, off the top of my head booking. Literally had never thought about any of this until you asked the question. So, the women's I had thought out before. I thought about that earlier today. But this one I just not thought of at all until you asked the question. And it's like, and then you're talking about Richard Holiday going to be there. But yeah, the money's in the chase. So if I want Latimer to win the title, Latimer has to chase the title. That's why you should never believe stories like Magnum TA was going to win the NWA title in 86 or whatever year he had his accident. That may have been maybe they were planning on that being the main event, but him just winning the title from Flair out of nowhere, that's not going to make you money. That match ending in a way that we want to see Magnum TA get Flair at some point, that makes money.
Yeah. I agree with that. And Jaden, you get the final word. You're going to be there. You're going to witness this match live. Who do you want to see walk away as world champion?
EC3. By the way, how do you like my PB Smooth picture?
We're not going to say that because we might want to have PB Smooth on this show one day.
Well, you might want to.
Well, hey, yeah.
I'm going to throw me with we.
Hey.
I have nothing against him as a wrestler. It's just...
He may have a mouse in his pocket. You don't know.
You might what?
I said you may have a mouse in your pocket. That's why you're saying we.
We don't call it a mouse.
I just think he's French all of a sudden.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Gentlemen, I got to get a
cow.
in a few hours. Let's wrap this up.
Okay, I'm done.
Jaden, tell me who you want to see win this match.
EC3.
There it is.
Yeah, Latimer's not built up well enough. I think Latimer will probably win it because I just think it's going to happen. But I want EC3 to win.
So that's it, guys. That's our predictions for this week's. And Dodie, I love you, Dodie. He says, I don't want EC3 to lose the title until he goes to Uganda. I very much want that to happen too, Dodie. I very much want that to happen. He's also supposed to take the title to Alaska, which I don't think the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship has ever been to Alaska. So both of those things sound very, very fun to me and very becoming of an NWA World Champion. So I want those to happen too. So that's our show. That's our preview for the pay-per-view or signature live event that you'll be able to watch in about 6 weeks on the CW app, unless Mr. Billy Corgan announces something different that night. Also, we'll be there live in Philadelphia at the 2300 Arena. We'll be hanging out with the hashtag NWA fam, all you Alliance guys and girls. Are there Alliance girls? I don't know. We'll be there and we'll be hanging out, and hopefully we can all say hi and grab a bite to eat or drink and take a few pictures and represent this great community that is the Alliance there in Philly. Also, Jaden, I know that there is some events that are coming up in and around that East Coast metropolitan area of New Jersey and Philly and all that fun stuff. So let's talk real quick about, I know that September 28th, Tank Tolan is going to take on Flagboy Connor. The World Wrestling Grand Prix champion will be defending. Let's talk about that dog event.
First of all, how good was that Tank Tolan interview that was posted this week on the Alliance Blog podcast, part of the family of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source of information for the NWA and probably the number 2 source of information for dangerous adrenaline wrestling gladiators.
I love it. First of all, Tank Tolan's a good dude. I like him a lot. I hope that he continues to work with dangerous adrenaline wrestling gladiators in whatever capacity that Dr. Lawrence Zirconium deems worthy. He was just so full of positive energy, and I feel like he has a great outlook on life. And I think with his experiences in that locker room, I'm sure that helps some of the other guys that are around him. Obviously, it's not going to help out Connor. He's going to have his hands full, but there's a great night of wrestling, a lot of great wrestlers, and Dave Dahl. Do you want to run down the card real quick?
Yes, obviously. We'll start off with the main event of the evening. We're going to see the dangerous adrenaline wrestling gladiators heavyweight champion Breaker Morant defend against former dog champion Busky Eric Martin. You'll also see the World Wrestling Grand Prix Heavyweight Championship on the line as champion David Goldie has his first championship defense against Pat Sawyer, who is a indigenous superhero. You'll also see the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Tag Team Championship on the line. Originally, it was Dave Dahl and Dylan Mesh against Riot City's Most Wanted. But apparently, something happened, and Dave Dahl and Dylan Mesh will not be facing Riot City's Most Wanted because they are not able to make it. Dave says it's because they found out who they're wrestling and they're afraid, and that's why they don't want to be there. So there'll be another match announced very soon. You'll also see former WWE and Ring of Honor superstar Tank Tolan take on Connor the Flag Boy in what should be an absolute massacre. The former dog tag team champions Patch and Vinny the Fixer will take on Dad Bod and All Natty Adam Matthews, the also known as the world's sexiest tag team. Marvelous will be in action against Pedro Pablo from South America. You'll see ECW original Jim Molyneux will be making a very special appearance. You're going to be able to buy the entire chair for only $20. But on Saturday night, the 28th of September, at the Sacred Heart Church, located at 103 4th Street in Riverton, New Jersey, you may buy that entire chair, but you're only going to need the Edge. Make sure you get your tickets at the soon-to-be Sacred Heart Church location, and probably a pizza place that we're working on now, so you can get your tickets there too. More information will be going. You can also call 856-417-4187 for ordering your ticket to reserve. Make sure to check out dogprowrestling.com. But that's not all. You also have the Mawa Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Alliance. They're going to see Breaker Morant defending there against Pat Dynamite. Also, Breaker Morant will be defending on the 12th of October in a match to be announced for the Kevin Hogan Memorial event. And if he's still champion after those 3 events, he will be defending on February. No, he'll be defending on October 18th in the beautiful, historic Pennsville, New Jersey at the Pennsville Middle School. So you're going to see a lot of great dog wrestling action and dog championship matches. And make sure you stay tuned to dogprowrestling.com for all the news in Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on TikTok, even though I have yet to even put anything on it. Check us out on YouTube. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share that video with everybody. We're on over 1,000 subscribers, and now we have to catch up to Alliance Guys, which, despite what some hand sandwich jabroni says, has over 5,000 people tuning in and subscribe to, which is way more than his channel.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us this week. Again, thank you so much for being a part of the Alliance. We are the Alliance, and so are you. Thank you for being a part of the community. If you want to buy your Alliance merch, hey, we have a merchandise link. It's in the video description with hats. Oh, the red hat will go live probably this weekend. Red hat, black logo. That hat matchup won in the poll. You guys voted. So if you are still interested in purchasing your red Alliance hat with the black eagle, it will be there on the shop. And of course, if you are still enjoying the Alliance podcast, you want to help support it, you could buy some lovely, tasty Dubby, some energy drink that does not give you jitters. It doesn't get you all hyped up. It's a very good energy drink to help you focus, whether it be your gaming, your schooling, or your podcasting. It's something that I drink quite regularly and helps me focus for when I have big tasks ahead of me. Also,
Beach and Peach.
Beach and Peach. Also, check out the Alliance blog. Will be having a title constructed to commemorate our 5,000 subscribers. That will be purchased through Trophy Smack. Oh, one more thing with Dubby. If you use the link anytime in the next week, you get an additional 10% off. So your savings will now be 20% off when you order your Dubby.
Make sure you use the link and make sure you put the code in so Jake can get credit.
Make sure you put that code in to get your 20% off, and that's good for this week. So make sure you do it and do it soon. And then, of course, Trophy Smack, when you use our link, I do believe you save 10% off of your purchase price there as well. So get your custom title belt made for your sales groups, your fantasy football or baseball groups, or just to have a title to call your own. But that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of your Thursday, our Thursday. If I'm here and you're here, I guess we're all here. And that's going to do it for us. I'm looking for the video link, and then I will close the show out. So until next time, go ahead.
We'll see you Saturday at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.